It's not for a specific amount of money. It's for what I know others will do with it in their own lives, in the lives of others they meet. I said it was a stage. If you knew me in my 20s or 30s or 40s, I highly doubt you'd have ticked off inspires people as one of my qualities. I was busy going after challenges, pushing myself, what someone might call intimidating and powerful. Very masculine energy, self-confident woman, doing all the things in a man's world. Accounting, motorsports, climbing, all the things. All my ups and downs brought me to this place, to this stage. You're listening to the Unshackle Your Life podcast with Debbie Colburn, and each week we talk all things money, business, personal growth, and we dive deep, exploring the hundreds of things that shackle us unconsciously from our own true potential. And you'll discover tips and tactics to start unlocking your shackles and release an extraordinary life. Thanks for spending time with me today, and let's dive right in. Guys, I'm super excited to be back here again each week. We've got some exciting stuff coming up for you over the next 4 weeks. You are not going to want to miss anything that we're putting out. Are you really ready for this? Ready to hit restart? Yep. All things money, business, careers, life, and cracking open the hidden crap that's holding each of us back, like shame and anxiety and sabotages and drama that we create, and that funk, that feeling in the pit of our stomach that we're stuck, that we're overwhelmed, and we simply can't get out of our own damn way. Yep, you got it. We are going to get uncomfortable, and I'll be with you all the way as we navigate our way through to create your breakthroughs. What's going on in your life right now? Maybe you're in survival mode, just barely getting by, living day to day, paycheck to paycheck, even if you're making good money. I know, crazy, right? Maybe you're in a job or a career or business that's leaving you on empty, depleted, uninspired, or maybe you just can't figure out the right thing to do, or any point in between those. Maybe your relationships are fracturing and you can't figure out what's happening or why. If you're a brand new listener or you're one of our longtime fans, we're excited to have you here for a conversation about jump-starting your life and breaking free of your shackles and create the life that you really want. So grab that drink, find that quiet spot, and pop your earbuds in. Welcome to episode number 76. You've heard it all. I know that, because I have too. From the big guns to the little fish. Know your why. Not just any why, your big why. The thing that lights you on fire, propels you to do things that nothing else can. Find your passion. Live into your purpose. Okay, sounds easy, right? Well, maybe it is in a linear world, but that's most definitely not the human experience. I've tried it. There's more to it. Those things are a result of hundreds of thousands of little decisions and little actions, micro commitments, micro whys. The result of making wrong turns, taking the wrong path, and doubling back and trying another, course corrections, to pick up a new skill or connect with a new resource you need. I'd love for it to be as easy as getting up one day and saying, my why is my kids or my grandkids. But it's not. I'd love for it to be as easy as writing down a big number on a bright piece of paper and posting it all over my house. I'm sure you've done that too. And it actually worked the opposite way. You ended up telling yourself ridiculous stories in your head about why you can't get there. And then you accidentally say, it's because I'm not money motivated out loud. Yep. And that just makes you like most of the human population, which is something I really, really, really wish business owners and employers would really get. Most people aren't motivated in the long term by money. Because money is a tool, it's a resource, it's not an emotional match. And there are so many money blocks, so many money sabotages behind everybody, and that's something we dive into. But in this podcast, we are just going to talk about what I put in the subject line. So for me, when I think about a big why, I see it as a stage. The point at which you have tried and tested all the things, and now you have a whole package that when you think about it, you can easily drop yourself into flow, into what they call flow state. Flow, where it feels effortless. And for me, that happens when I write or I speak, but it needs to be teased out. It needs a little foreplay. Then the words flow. The connections happen. Time passes. Yet when I am most in flow, I'm able to stick almost to the minute to my planned time. I know I've been in flow when I sit in Starbucks and I work, and people come and go. The people at the next tables, they change and change, yet I never ever see them or hear them do it. I just lift my head up and go, oh, that's different. The big question is why? Why do we do it? Do anything. What's behind us? There could be many reasons, yet I think there is always one word that underlies it. Well, at least there is for me. But before I share it with you, I want to share a story. This past week, my son and his boys, you've heard me talk about them a lot. There's 7 and my grandsons, on the Canadian grandsons, they're 7 and 12. And they flew out to visit for the first time since COVID locked us down on the opposite ends of the country. It's been 18 months. And my son wanted to climb a steep mountain, have that experience with the boys. And for me, mountains are my thing, my happy place, my safe place. And yes, they're only an hour and 20 minutes from my house. Yet after this past 18 months, I am in the worst shape of my life, carrying an extra 50 pounds. It's not that I don't move, I've just been doing flat stuff. All of it as a result of my poor eating decisions. And the thought of climbing for 3.5 hours on a continual 45 to 50 degree slope, use your hand, put it on the table, figure out what that is, with no warm-up, walk in, and the last hour above the tree line on loose rock scared me. I'm being really friggin' honest here. I never said that to anybody, but inside me, I'm like, is this a good decision? See, we'd done a warm-up hike 2 days earlier, and I was immediately in plod mode. That's what I call my high mountain pace, within minutes, because it was on a 30-degree, well-groomed path. Now, that's not steep. Pretty much most people could do it, if they plod. They had told us to take the one way up, that would go counterclockwise, because they said the down was the difficult route, and that's why we took this easier path. That's why we went that direction. But the down was actually made for me. Steep, technical, rocky, narrow. The easy route was more difficult because it was the same. And on the down, I came alive. My feet changed to goat feet. I no longer had had to keep telling that voice in my head to shut the hell up. I got this. I found my flow. Yet on the hike, the hard and difficult one, even before I had a foot on the trail, a voice was there in my head telling me, you're not in shape, you shouldn't be here, as people who had never stepped a foot on a mountain passed me. 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, in their teens, and 50-year-olds. Honestly, I think I'm pretty honest here to say that no one in their mid to late 60s or 70s or 80s passed me. I'm 65. I plod. Ask anyone who has ever climbed serious mountains, and they will tell you that plod is the way to the top. 1 foot in front of the other. Breathe in, breathe out. Regulate your breathing. 1 step after the other. Look back every once in a while, see how far you come. On occasion, very rarely, look up, see where you're going. Plod. And a couple of times people passed me and they'd say, "You got this," and other things like that. And I caught myself being really insulted, annoyed, almost rolling my head and eyes in my head like my mother would do. Of course I have this, I'd think. I've got more experience than 90% of the people on the mountain. Not being arrogant, that's just simply a fact. Other than the guy who was the guy in his group that were doing this preparation to go to Everest, where in the time that we went up and down, he was on his 4th time up. I trust my plod. I am aware of the time. I know at what point I will stop. I've already planned that out. I didn't say any of that stuff out loud, thank God. And then a couple came by. I let them by on the stairs. Yes, big rock stairs as stairs up the steep stuff, coming out of the tree line and into the wall of granite and limestone. And he said, "You got this. You are so inspiring." And I thought, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I am inspiring everyone who sees me, talks to me, passes me, up or down. I am setting an example. My son and the boys are always ahead. We're playing this game of Catch Up Charlie, and if you don't know what that is, if you've ever done climbing or hiking or trekking and stuff, it's where there's people in your group are ahead, they stop and wait for you, catch up, and immediately they take off. They never stop and wait because they've already done that. Now these guys are pretty good. They do actually spend a little bit of time with me, but I'm okay with Catch Up Charlie. I like being at the back. I know I go at a different pace. I'm happy with that. Just make sure we have some connection. My son had a fluorescent sweatshirt on. You could see him a zillion miles off the mountain. I'd bright blue. You couldn't see me as much. But there was a connection. And I think that's actually probably one of the reasons that the 7-year-old on his shorter legs got within 100 feet of the summit, because we did have those breaks. I am inspiring my son and the 2 grandsons. That's what I do. I inspire. And I wish I could talk to that couple who gave me the virtual head slap out of my mind trap. For me, that's why I do anything. It's not for any one person. It's not for a specific amount of money. It's what I know others will do with it, or don't, in their lives, in the lives of others that they meet. I said it was a stage. And if you knew me in my 20s or 30s or 40s, I highly doubt you would have ticked off inspires people as one of my qualities. I was busy going after challenges and pushing myself in what some might call intimidating and powerful, very masculine energy, self-confident woman doing all the things in a man's world. Accounting, motorsports, climbing, all the things. All those things, all my ups and downs brought me to this place, to this stage. And it will change in future decades. I am 100% certain of that. Imagine loving something so much that they say you've found your passion. Do you think you'll do that thing for the rest of your life? I can tell you at 69, 65, the answer is hell no. Passion comes and goes, and it will always be part of your life. Whatever that passion is, you never truly lose it. Find your passion, and it's no longer work. Ever heard that quote? And what about this quote? And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, don't settle. And with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. That sounds pretty utopic, right? Simple, clear. Find your passion. It'll never feel like work again. It's no longer work. The last quote, it's from Steve Jobs' commencement address in 2005. And when you listen, because I know most of you know some of his story, I'll bet you'll recognize that there were times in there, days, when he was not passionate about what he was doing or what was happening to him. And I want to make it really clear at this point in time, that's the problem with this, is because people think when someone says, find your passion, that you're living your passion 24/7, 7 days a week. That's horse crap. Passion is like a little igniter. It comes on every once in a while. So I really want you to listen to this. I'm sure he loved what he was doing. He said he loved what he was doing, and he was passionate even. But it was his vision, how he saw the future and his place in it, that was pulling him forward. It wasn't his passion. His passion just made it enjoyable. And his passion was changing. Because I can tell you that what he was doing, the specifics, the mechanics, the exact things that he knew when he was working in the garage at 20, was absolutely not what he was doing before he passed away. In my world, vision and possibility is everything. Potential is that toolbox that's hiding under your seat that you don't realize that it's there until someone points it out and says, don't you have something in that box? That's potential. The other stuff is like tools that you need to keep sharpening and upgrading and tossing them away. But you are never without a compass or a GPS. There's a whole story behind those two lines, the Steve Jobs quote that I read you just a bit before. And that adds much needed context to it. So I really want you to listen to it. And I put the link to it in the show notes if you want to watch or read the whole commencement address. It's really powerful, but I excerpted this. This is his second story because I want you to listen to it and get the context. You cannot run and focus your life on trying. You can't force it. You can't force passion out. No more than you can force love for a specific person or a thing. It just comes. It's like a byproduct, really and truly. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, remember that, in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in the garage to a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We had just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I had just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone who I thought was very talented to run the company for me. And for the first year or so, things went well. Then our visions of the future began to diverge. And eventually, we had a falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him. So at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generations of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a very public failure and even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. Notice he doesn't say he's passionate, but he still loves what he did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could ever have happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods in my life. What do you think was driving him forward? It wasn't passion. It was that ability to be creative, to explore the possibilities for him with the tools that he had, doing things that he really enjoyed, loved, passionate, whatever. But it isn't one solitary thing. During the next 5 years, I started a company called Next, N-E-X-T, another company called Pixar. You guys might remember, you might be familiar with Pixar. And I fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next. I returned to Apple, and the technology that we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Lorene and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. Right? It's not as simple as one thing. You've got to find what you love, and that is as true for your work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. That is this is not part of his quote, that is an essential piece that you must recognize. It is in the pursuit of becoming a master that he was falling in love with something that he was good at, that he had a natural talent for, that put him into flow. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. There's the quote. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking until you find it. Don't settle. That is a very compound quote and an excerpt from his thing that outlines the truth behind passion. What was his purpose? Ask anyone who met him, worked with him, was family, and I'm sure each of them would tell you a different story. Why? Because how what someone creates impacts each person is different. He might have seen his purpose as one way and someone gets it differently. One iPhone user might tell you that the iPhone changed their life and business forever in an amazing way. And someone else might tell you that it ruined their family life. Purpose is like that. It's personal for the end user. So it's impossible to know what your purpose is because you never know how someone you meet, come in contact with, one of your students, someone who follows you online will act with your product, your service, or your ideas. It's literally impossible to decide ahead of time or to even know what your purpose is. And for some reason, most think that purpose is singular to them, that purpose is a silo. For some people, for many people, they are here in this life to be an integral part of a group of people doing something. They're not here to be doing something on their own. You've got the visionary and the integrator. You've got a preacher in his congregation. You've got someone who has a not-for-profit that takes people on missions to go change something somewhere else in the world. You've got the business owner and their team. In many of those cases, those individuals don't have a solitary purpose. Their purpose only comes into play as part of a team, with other people. Lots to think about, right? So the answer is out there for each of us to discover. All I'm asking is that you give yourself some grace. If you don't have a big why, that's 100% okay. As long as you have a vision for your life, at least for the next few years, just a couple of years out. You don't have to go out to 5, you don't have to go out to 10 or 20. Heck, look back. Look where we were 25 years ago. The world is not the same at all. We're still humans. That's the only commonality. And if you don't know what you're passionate about, that's 100% okay. I've had a whole bunch of passion stages, and I know I'll have a whole bunch more. The point is to be more aware of things that just flow when you do them, and to be aware that there will be a lot of things that you simply have to do that you don't love, that fit into that package of your vision, until you find a way to offload them. Delete, delegate, or whatever. We all have those days. If you don't know what your purpose is, that's okay too. You're living it right now. It simply doesn't have a name or a face yet for you. So we're here. We're at the end. It's time for me to ask that question of everyone, as I do at the end of every episode. Take your time, give it some thought. What is the worst thing that could happen if you unlock just one of your shackles today? And I'd love to connect with you, hear your stories, help out where I can. So don't forget to leave a comment, shoot me a DM. Yes, it's me reading each and every one of those. And guys, amazing stuff coming. October the 4th, we have got a big thing opening. But before that, the 23rd of September, you are going to want to be on it. So mark that in your calendar. 23rd of September, you will want to be on this. There's more information coming. Hey guys, if you found this podcast helpful and think it could help someone else, please send them the link. It's in the show notes. And then drop a review in wherever you're listening. And then come on back and hang with us some more. Let us help you keep moving forward. We're simple to find on the interwebs. MS Debbie Colburn, that's MS Debbie with an IE, Colburn with an OUR squished between the B and the N, on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and yes, on our website. See y'all next episode.